Okay, so you've found a Nearpod lesson that you would like to explore a little bit more. Perhaps you just searched up in the search bar here, or you sorted by grade level or subject or standard, however it is that you found it. When you're ready to look at a lesson, all you need to do is click on that lesson. On the right-hand side, Nearpod is going to suggest some other content lessons that are in their library for you to use. So perhaps you'll find something that piques your interest and you'll look at right away, or you'll come back to later. This is already in my library. So if I wanted to look at it, I can click show in my library and it would bring me back to my library. Any lesson you find, you can preview it to see what it looks like before you decide this is definitely something that I want. So let's take a look at a lesson that I do not have in my library so you can see how to add that. So you'll notice that these lessons say bundles or 20 lessons. Just means that there's several lessons built within this series. Again, related content over here, and bundled in this lesson are right here. So I can add this to my library after previewing. And you'll see it has added all of the lessons there. So if I come back here, I could certainly click show my library, but if I come back and I click the house button, any lessons I've added will show up here. So the compound word one is a single lesson, so it's right here. You'll notice that the one I just added, my Let's Work with the Alphabets and this number and operations, is actually in a folder because it's a set of lessons. So if I click on that folder, here are all of those lessons for working with the alphabet. If I go back to my lessons, this one had 10, so you can see that it's organized right into specific folders for me. It lets me know the content, where the content came from, and it also is letting me know, well, what skill are we working on? So for any lesson, whether it is within a folder because it's a group of lessons or it's an individual lesson, you can organize it by clicking and dragging. So perhaps I don't want this in this folder anymore. I would click and drag. And when I click on my lessons, here it is right out here for me. I could also go ahead and I could click and I could drag it right into a folder. So that's how I can kind of organize my lessons if I want to make my homepage a little bit cleaner for myself. So let's take a look at how we can edit a lesson. So let's work with the alphabet. Let's start with the letter Y. I'm going to click on the edit button. You have the choice. Are you going to duplicate the lesson? That means that you're going to make a whole new copy of this lesson. So now you're going to have your edited version as well as the original. That is completely your choice. I'm just going to edit this lesson. And it brings it up into your edit window right here. Okay, so there are some slides you might decide, you know what, I'm not going to leave this here for my students to see, even if they can just blow right by it. So I might click here because this is good information for me to have, but I don't want my students to have this information. So if I click on this slide once, I can delete it. If I want to see a little bit better what a slide says, if I double click, then I can see a little bit better what this looks like. So you'll notice if I click here, this is not editable. So this is not a text box that I can edit. So this is some information that's good for you to have, and maybe for your students to have, depending on their age level, completely up to you if you leave it or not. It is good to leave the first slide, especially since it gives credit to the person who created it. So here you'll see that these are draw it slides. So if I double click on that, I can see what the students need to do. Okay, their directions are right up here. And perhaps you're going to add an audio recording so that you can read the directions to your students so that they can listen to what they need to do. You save any changes you make. So I can go through and these indicate to me these are all drawings. So let's say I want another interactive feature besides a drawing for my students to use. I can click this add slide button here or the one up here. I can look through the content. So perhaps there is a video I know I'm going to search on YouTube, or one that I have saved in my drive, or I'm going to upload from my computer that I'd like them to watch. You can also go through, you can add a website. So if you want them to go to a website for more information. So you have all of these choices right here, along with the interactive activities. So perhaps you want them to work on a collaborative board. So if I click on collaborate, I might type in, write a Y word, and I can change the style if I wish, and I'll save it. Anytime you add a new slide, it always puts that slide at the very end of your lesson, but you can simply click and drag it to where you would like it to go. And any changes you make, you want to make sure that you click save and exit so that it saves those changes for you. So that's how to work with your Nearpod lessons after you have found one.